Hi, I'm Melissa Bunch,
And I'm Paul Bunch.
and welcome to the Spirit Code. He's making fun of me, thank you.
You're welcome.
I apologize to everybody. I've been sick, so my throat's raspy, and I'll probably be up and down blowing my nose. But don't worry, we had the treatment. We're just waiting on my body to do its part to finish the healing process. All right, so today's class, we have been making some more improvements.
Actually, let me just butt in here. Melissa was laying in bed for the last few days.
Yeah, like.
And then when she decided to get up, she's like, oh no, I've got to start working. She gets up and just like gets on the computer and just types away for like hours. And we had like this birthday party we had to go to last night. She's like, do I have to go to the party? Got so much work to get done here.
I worked up until the time we were supposed to be at the party. It was an adult birthday party. But we want to show you what we did. We really organized some things and compiled some quick, easy steps for everybody. So, so that's what we would like to talk to you about today. But we would like to start with a prayer.
Yeah.
And Paul would like to offer that. Yeah. Okay.
Our dear Father in heaven, we thank thee for this opportunity to share the program with others, and ask you to help us as we communicate the words and the thoughts that have been involved in this program. Ask you to help us to communicate it effectively and to be able to have thy Spirit assist in that process, and ask for those who are receiving these words to also be taught by thy Spirit. And we say this in thy Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay. So as you guys know, the program has grown like crazy, and we're all trying to keep up with trying to make it organized. And Annalisa Hale has been so gracious as to reformat our appointment forms and our initial consult form. And we will have that available to you soon. We are just busy trying to get everything accomplished, but we would love to share that with you soon.
Yeah, there's another lady who's been assisting us and providing a little bit of information.
We can say Laura. Laura's been helping significantly with helping us to complete parts that were incomplete, specifically a lot of the compounds and anything like that.
And I was like, we'll just kind of put it in line, with all the other things that we have to update. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I hope I'm not overwhelming you. And I respond, I'm like,
please,
no, don't worry about that. The Lord's did a pretty good job of overwhelming us already.
Oh, but you know what? Anyhow, we just have a lot to share with you. So, so what we've done right here with the people holding hands under specific treatments, we have added some quick references, okay? So in here, if you remember, it used to just have the excess dense tissue, the inflammation, the teeth, the eyes, and the vanishing twin. And so we've decided to organize it a little bit differently and add a bunch of linkable options. So when you're struggling emotionally, my voice is all messed up and I'm still taking over. I'm sorry. Do you want to explain them all?
Well, yeah, this is what Melissa was working on yesterday. Did such a good job at. So yeah, when we have a person that wants to learn the program, sometimes they can get overwhelmed by how much information there is and where to start at and how to kind of get all the flow, or get the flow with the program basically. And so we do provide a lot of information that guides you in certain directions, but here's the thing. We don't want to say this is exactly how to do it, because we actually want you to be kind of creative with the idea and
the solutions.
Yeah, and kind of think about receiving the personal revelation to guide you through the program. So in some ways, we want to make sure that we don't squash that kind of approach to the program. But for some people, it's understandably there's just a lot of things. So they ask for what do we do when this takes place? As an example, when you're feeling sick and tired, you may go to the pathogen treatment, but there might be some additional steps that are in the program, but how do you find out what those are? So we put together like, are you sick and tired? You know, like experience fatigue. So what do you do with that? So
and especially when you're sick and tired, you can't think. And that's what I kept telling Paul. I'm like, we need to put in these linked steps so that, you know, when you are too sick to really fix it, or when you're under such a spiritual attack that you don't know what steps to take, even if we teach it, and even if you've seen it in our classes, sometimes you can get really overwhelmed, especially like this one, struggling emotionally. If you're in trauma or if you're in conflict, the last thing that you're going to be able to think about is, you know, where do I go? What do I do? What steps do I take? And sometimes your testing can be compromised.
Yeah.
So we thought we would simplify it for you.
Yeah, but make sure you don't limit yourself to what we just provide here with what's in that document. Right.
These are just recommendations. You can absolutely do far more. But we also thought that adding in different questions to ask would be beneficial as well. Like what are the different questions to even ask? I know that that's something that my mother has struggled with in the past is, you know, how do I even ask the question? What questions are appropriate? So we went ahead and tried to make that easy for you so you can test the question and go on. Should we go ahead and open up one?
Well, let's just kind of cover the topics real quick. So another one that was done is, are you an empath? Okay, what to do with an empath? So another one is the addictions. We specified the pornography, but it doesn't necessarily.
That just tends to be the most common because the majority of you guys who are training are LDS, and so that tends to be the majority of the addictions that we come across with members of the Mormon Church. However, there are a lot of steps in there that we use with some of our other clients that are struggling with other addictions as well.
Yeah, and then one more common question that we get asked quite a bit is like what to do when you're being attacked spiritually,
or if your spirit's not in your body.
Yeah.
Right. It's essentially the same thing.
So let's just jump into the first one that we have.
We would like to actually kind of touch base on most of the new ones that we've updated. I've updated most of them.
Yeah, there's some in here that have already been in there for a long time. So like the excess tissue, cancer, the vanishing twin, the
cancer I've updated. I want to go over that.
Yeah, okay. And also the teeth and the mouth and the inflammation.
And I added teeth and mouth.
Yeah, and
also, eyesight.
Yeah, the eyesight. So those ones have been there already, and so they're for the most part, not a lot has changed except for the excess tissue.
Okay. So when you click on this, when you're struggling emotionally, let me get rid of that. Okay. All right. So as you can see, what we're doing, this one is actually less questions and more giving you options. So here we have some trauma energies that you can work on, and this is linking you to all of the trauma energies with a little brief explanation that you could have emotional trauma, reoccurring trauma, physical trauma, sexual trauma, or spiritual trauma. And then the next one is control energies, especially when you've had some trauma or you've been victimized or you are struggling emotionally. The control energies are those energies that we send to each other. So, you know, that just tends to be a lot of the reasons why we're struggling emotionally is conflict in some sort of relationship that we're in. And then the control anchors is typically the cause of other mortal spirits to be in your presence or why your spirit could be in multiple pieces. And so we have that link. So really, anytime you click any of these, it'll take you to another piece of our program. And we'll do that with a few others, but I don't know if we need to do it here. And then, are you living in the past? And especially when you're struggling emotionally, we tend to replay the past over and over and over in our mind. So these are the steps for resetting your body clock. And this is actually one of my favorites. I am going to click on that link. And, and it's going to take us to, oh good, it opened up a new, yay, we can go right back and not miss out. And this one, a lot of these have little mini training videos. So if you feel overwhelmed, like I just don't know how to do any of this, there is a mini training video. This one's only like, I think 7 to 9 minutes. I know it's under 10 minutes, which is big for me to be able to do it under 10 minutes because, that means Melissa can't talk as much. So, so anyhow, following these steps is just a great way to balance your body clock again and reset your time. So then the emotional memory release tapping, you guys, I feel like this one gets overlooked.
It does.
I don't know how many of you guys have even used this, but when you're struggling, like, I always recommend this one to my clients.
Yeah. Watch the video with it too, because just reading the instructions that are provided, there's a lot more to it. Okay. So if you watch the video, you'll be able to get a better understanding of it.
And it's still, I think, only 10 to 12 minutes.
Yeah. And I don't know if there's an example of it in there, but anyway, watch the video.
Yeah, this isn't a pre-scripted tapping sequence. This is a visualization tapping sequence where you are actually going through that event and offering that trauma to the Lord. And that is actually how I did my emotional eating. So it significantly changed my emotional eating just with that emotional memory release tapping. And so we use it for a lot of different things. Okay, and then the trauma tapping, that one's pre-scripted. So sometimes we come across a lot of people who they just don't even know what they're feeling. They don't know what's influencing them, especially like if they're in grief, where they don't even know what their feelings are at that time, and they don't know how to process them. So sometimes going through a pre-scripted tapping sequence will help you. So the trauma tapping, victim tapping, shutdown tapping are some of the ones that we recommend when you're just in a really cruddy space. And then the manager removal, this is one where we've actually talked to you guys about this. If you do have somebody managing your mind, making sure that you get that manager removed in some very effective steps that we have there. Okay. And then negative cords. We really don't want to have any negative cords with anybody. So we really work on removing all negative cords. Every time we do negative cords, you really don't have to focus on one person. And that's something that a lot of people tend to do. They just focus on one person. You don't need to do that. You can do all your negative cords.
Yeah.
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 So same thing with your walls. When you are struggling emotionally, we tend to put up walls to protect ourselves. It's like that barrier. And so we need to remember that there's two different types of walls, that there's opposition in all things. So the walls that we're removing are the walls that are influenced by the adversary, not the walls that are filled with godly love and energy. Right. So you can definitely put up, and that's what we do in the work that we do. So we want to put up that godly boundary. We do need safety and protection, but we need it from God. And so when the adversary convinces you that you need a wall, it creates disconnection, and it doesn't resolve the problem. It does not take away, the trials or the struggles. It doesn't really protect you from a heartache. All it does is numb you.
Yeah, so with the trauma, you're definitely going to have some walls that you're going to have to address. So be aware of that.
Mm-hmm. And then these are some of our favorite things is our conflict resolution steps. So whenever you are struggling emotionally, if it is due to conflict, we just really highly recommend taking these steps. They are so thorough and so detailed. And what I usually do, we're opening up a lot of browsers, but that's great. I didn't realize that I had it set to open up a different browser so you could go back and forth. That's fantastic, right? That's a really good sign. Okay, so what I usually do is, first learn a little bit about it. It really helps you to shift your focus, but you get there's a bunch of different steps here that you can take. And so what we usually do when we're in conflict, we never fight though. What we do when we're in conflict is we'll actually go through and we'll see which ones we need to do. Okay, and this one right here, step 6, triggers, that's your festering wounds, and that is the next one, which is the conflict resolution part 2, right here, festering wounds. Okay, and there's a lot more that you guys can do with these. Really, it just gets you started. It gives you a good understanding. I know that when we're having a hard time, he'll come up to me and he will do the festering wounds and some of the conflict resolution steps, and he will tap on me. And we've talked about this before too, that he will come up and he will say a lot of really loving, understanding, positive things. He won't use a script, but he knows what I'm feeling, and he knows what I'm going through, and he knows why I'm upset. I talk so much he can read my mind because he pretty much knows anything I could be thinking about. Okay, so really, like, taking these different steps, and it's all in there in the conflict resolution steps 1 and 2. And like we said, festering wounds is step 2. And then the self-sabotage step. Step 7 is your core belief shift. So when you have been in trauma and when you have been struggling, like, that's one of the main things that we focus on in the self-sabotage program is working on healing your emotional memory of the past so that you can recreate a healthier perspective of your life and your future. And so, and really, you know, we really want to get to the point where you can reflect on those emotional memories with love and kindness and peace and Christ-like thoughts. Therefore, your thoughts are going to naturally be living the higher law.
Yeah, so one thing in mind is you don't have to go through all of them, but just the ones that you feel you might be struggling with. And so if you don't have any of the festering wounds, you wouldn't have to go through that. But the thing is, we want to work towards a shift in the thought process here so that you are able to overcome that. So as you feel like, as you feel like you apply those steps in overcoming that issue, the trauma that you're dealing with, and, then you can make sure, well, I'm starting to ramble, but anyway, point is that once you feel confident that you're done with it, you don't necessarily have to go through the rest of them. So they're just guidelines is what they are. Okay.
So this is a self-sabotage program, and this is intense. This is a lot of steps. A lot of our clients will do this as a family. And if you don't have a family, do it with a friend. We do have a program right now that is running where I am doing it with a small group, and we are taking the steps together. And I'm offering that program as if it is a one-on-one session as well, or at least attempting to do so. Okay, then there are 2 other trauma visualizations that I copied and pasted from different parts of the program. This one is from one of the self-sabotage steps, and trauma visualization number 16 is from the reoccurring trauma release. So just a couple different options that you can do. We do have the emotional memory release tapping as the first one that we recommend on purpose, though, because we find that one is the easiest, the shortest, the simplest, and just as effective as some of the others. But I love number 15. That's one of my absolute favorites. That one makes me cry every time.
Yeah. Okay.
And then 16 is really just like if you really need more intense work.
I remember my point that I was trying to get to when I was rambling, okay? The point is not to drag things on, but to get over it quickly, okay? So if you just, yeah.
Did you just say, don't drag on your sorrow and depression and trauma, get over it? Are you serious? You're in trouble. You can't say that.
No, the point is to figure out how to address it so that it doesn't ruin the whole day or the whole week. You want to find the steps. Conflict. Yeah, you want to find the steps that will work for you to help you get through it quickly. So
that, in conflict, we do agree. That's something that Tony Robbins recommended when he was talking about some of the coaching steps. He was saying that like his fights used to take days. Him and his wife used to fight for days and days. And he said, now we're down to like 5 minutes. And that's what we recommend as well, is we can't do 5 minutes yet.
We can't, no.
We're not at 5, but we don't fight. So it's an opportunity to really get it down and organize so that you recognize, and that's what those conflict resolution steps are all about, is recognizing what is inside of you that is hurting. What are you what is triggering your self-talk, or what is triggering you to feel the way that you're feeling? Because we really, as we've talked about before, it's a emotional problem when you're in conflict. It's not a logical problem. So when you try and solve it with logic, it's not going to get better. So when you solve it with emotions, you are going to be able to move forward and be able to resolve that conflict.
All right. So you understand my point. I'm not in big trouble now.
I get it. You're not in trouble.
Well, did you just see how fast that conflict was resolved there. That was under 5 minutes, record breaker.
Yeah, but that wasn't conflict.
I felt a lot of contention.
You're so sweet. I love you. Okay, so this one is the cancer treatment, right? And remember, it tests as excess dense tissue. And so what we added, sorry, we have to wait for it to load. Okay, so all of this is the same as it's always been, and I know that we have talked to you guys about this in the past, but we really want to scroll down because we're talking about German New Medicine. Like, this is the main focus of what is being stored in your excess dense tissue, and that has to do with a German doctor named Dr. Hamer, or Hamer, H-A-M-E-R, it's probably Hamer, who did the research, he did the medical studies, and he actually proved that it was trauma-based, which is so amazing that you've got traumas that are being stored in your cancer, because everybody has cancer. It just has to do with if that cancer has grouped together. I mean, everybody has cancer cells within their body. So why does one person have cancer that is causing them to get sick and die, and another person, you know, their body breaks it down, flushes it out, and they don't need treatment. So anyhow, that is the basis of his studies, and it goes into so much detail in the classes that I've taken on German New Medicine. But let's just kind of keep it simple here. This work, we're explaining it to you, kind of helping it to be a little bit less scary. And right here we're working with the negative energy that's being stored in the excess tissue. Yeah. And whether it's dense tissue, soft tissue, or missing tissue.
Yeah, let me say one thing about this is that we had a person on the program before, and she just skipped down and went through the compounds without going through this step right here. Mm-hmm. This is actually the most important step.
If you don't do that step, it's not going to work. It's a waste of your time.
Yeah, so identify the energies that are in...
Because your body's still recreating the cancer cells. It won't be able to break it down if it still needs it.
Yeah. So I put that in bold and highlighted. I should probably put it in like red and like make it...
20 font.
Yeah, because that's the key issue right there.
Right. This is why the excess dense tissue is circulating, or why it's growing, why it is forming, why it is causing you illness, but that it is storing trauma. That is what your body does. Your body protects you. That's how it's been built. God did this to keep you alive. And that is exactly what your body is doing. It's like, okay, this trauma is huge. It is so powerful and so toxic. Your body sends the most powerful cells to protect you, to protect that trauma energy. So we have to do step 3. And so what I did is I added a little bit more to it to give you some links as well. Because most of these steps were here, but not with any links and not with the simplicity that I added. So here, the trauma steps. We highly recommend doing the trauma work and checking to see. So the question is, what energy is being stored in the excess dense tissue? Okay, and you got to do them all. So if you have excess dense tissue, do them all. This isn't one of those that you can input another modality to try and make it a little bit easier. Do the work. Like, it is absolutely worth it. You need to hit it with aggression, and that is exactly what these steps are offering you, is a very aggressive treatment.
Yeah, just kind of a heads up, if you go through the cancer or excess treatment with this, I would recommend working with us too, just so that we can guide you through it and make sure that you're getting the support that you need, because it's a serious issue, and we want to make sure that you are, like I said, getting the support that you need.
And we never recommend to ignore your doctor. So we usually just say, do whatever you feel is best. If you're going through your medical treatments and you would like to do this as well to help yourself, that's what we usually recommend. If it was me, I would only do this, and that is what I did when I had breast cancer. However, there are multiple different components here. If your family is not able to support you, if you do have struggles in, like if the trauma is still occurring, if you're in the middle of a divorce, if there are a lot of external situations that you cannot control, it's going to be very difficult to overcome. It's going to be something that you are going to need some extra support. And so do what you feel is best. Like we've said, always, We can't give you medical advice, and we can't tell you not to see a doctor. So do what you feel is best. Always take the steps that you feel are best for you. And we cannot promise the result because this is God's will. This is not something that I can control for you, but this is absolutely God's will that we're working on here. Okay. Okay, so John just made a comment. Cancer is like a pearl. The clam forms a pearl to protect itself from the trauma caused by the abrasive sand. So cancer is formed to protect you from the stored trauma. Absolutely. That's a very good visual. Thank you, John. We appreciate that. So this light healing treatment, I think that this goes unnoticed as well. This is in our Miraculous Opportunities. And so I just want to click on it real quick. I'm not going to actually teach it. I just want to click on it and show it to you. This is something that I used a lot when I had breast cancer. And so we highly recommend taking the opportunity to read through this document and practice, practice, practice. You're going to need to do that as often. I think I did it every day for probably about maybe half an hour to an hour. Yeah, until the pain went away. And then this one, do the healing of the body step with the atmospheric energy. These are both very important steps, and you may see it in a few more links in the future as I'm organizing a few more steps. You may even put that in like the dental treatment, both of those two, like the light energy and the atmospheric energy. That'd be a good idea, don't you think?
Yeah.
We may have to make the atmospheric energy. Right now, it's only in step 12 of the self-sabotage program. We may need to make it its own link because I'm going to be linking it a lot.
Okay.
Okay, so what it is right here, the healing of the body. Okay, and going through the whole thing. And this is important. Is it 100% God's will for healing to occur? And if the answer is no, then what percentage is it? And you guys may or may not have seen my training video last fall when I was working with one of my friends named Carol, and she had ovarian cancer. And before she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, she looked like me. She looked fairly normal. And after she was diagnosed and she had started her treatment, she looked like she was 9 months pregnant. And that's how she looked in our training video.
And aged like about 15 years.
15 to 20 years,
within
absolutely.
A few months.
Yeah, it was very, very hard on her. And so when we started working with her, we immediately, that was the first question, is this within God's will for healing to occur? And we got no. And we found out that upon further questions, that we were there to help her to get ready for the afterlife. We were not there to help her to survive. And that is a really hard thing to accept. You know, if you're doing this for a spouse, if you're doing this for yourself, and that's what you get, contact us and we'll help you to make sure that, because if you're doing that for yourself and you get that answer, it could be like a no will to live energy. It could be, there could be some sort of influence. So we need to make sure that that answer that you get is 100%. It's not like you giving up. It's not you feeling as though everything is out to get you and imagining the worst case scenario, but that you're actually getting that answer, that it is not God's will for you to heal and overcome that illness. So we always want to be in line with God's will and accept God's will and come to that peace. And so that is what we did. We worked with her just to overcome her traumas and get ready for the next step of her life. And she passed away a few months ago. So, but she actually talked about it a lot. She kept on saying how grateful she was that we helped her to get ready for that next step. So what we just showed you in the atmospheric energy, that is something that we don't talk about a lot unless you're in the sabotage program, but we are actually inviting in the energy from the atmosphere, working with it, manipulating it, not necessarily manipulating it because it sounds like we're controlling it. We don't control anything. But inviting it into the body to have it assist the body in the healing steps. But make sure that you do it in the proper manner, because we made a lot of mistakes, and so we hope that you kind of learn from our mistakes and don't repeat our mistakes. So take the steps that we offer in that atmospheric energy link. Okay, and then this is always beneficial, because if your body is sick and you are healing, you need to give your body an environment where it's putting forth all of its energy to the healing, as opposed to all of its energy to digestion. Okay, so I usually recommend plant-based and a detox diet, sugar-free. If you need to go Gluten-free, that's okay. It's not always necessary. We make our own bread. I love making homemade bread out of just flour, water, and yeast. It's so delicious. Well, nuts too. I always like to throw in nuts. So be very clear with what foods you need, and it's not going to be permanent. It's just going to be while your body is breaking down that tissue. And that is what we've done. First we have to release what is being stored in the tissue, right? Which is, let's make it simple, release what's being stored in the tissue, do the light treatments to assist the body in breaking down the cells, make it simple for your body to be able to heal based upon what's going in your body. Start using or eating Budwig cream every single day. This is fantastic for a simple protein. It does have dairy in it, but we do highly recommend that. And then get on some good supplements. And I usually just go to the health food store and muscle test directly in the health food store, because you know there's like 20 different types of each one. So you need to make sure that you know which one. Don't pick based upon price when you are very sick. When you're very sick, it's absolutely worth getting the most potent of options. Yeah. You felt like you're going to say something?
Yeah, I do feel like I need to actually say something, and I don't know if it's the right thing, but I'm feeling prompted that we need to make sure that you know what to test for here. Okay. So,
for which one?
For excess tissue. Okay, so first off, your body recognizes cancer as excess tissue, excess dense tissue, and excess soft tissue,
or excess missing tissue.
And so bring it to light too, because if you test it for yourself, you may not want to admit that you have this. Okay.
Or you might presume that you do when you really don't.
That's another option.
So we usually recommend having somebody who is advanced in their muscle testing to be able to help you.
Yeah. And so I don't know if somebody...
Or hypochondria. Yeah. I hate to, not to make anybody feel bad, but if you are hypochondriac, even if you're in denial that you're hypochondriac, you might test it and get a yes anyway. So definitely work with somebody who is really familiar with the steps.
Yeah, and so so another thing is you may test that you have some excess tissue, but for the most part, everybody's going to have a little bit, and it's not of concern. When it becomes beyond what the medical world would consider stage 2, then that's something that you would want to address, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody has a little bit, so.
Right, exactly. But typically your cancer cells aren't going to test as dense tissue until they've come together and formed around a trauma. Mm-hmm. But I also don't know if you are testing for excess dense tissue, if it'll even come up on medical scans as having cancer. So as long as we know the body is bringing together excess dense tissue, it is most likely cancer cells. Let's break it down. Let's do the treatment. If you, we had one person who had been working with us for a long time. He was in stage 4, and he had cancer for 10 years, off and on. And the doctors had given up. They were just, we can't help you anymore. So he came to us, and we worked for, I don't know, maybe 4 months straight, three times a week. It was busy.
Yeah, it was actually various things, but a lot of it was just kind of helping him to shift his mind, be positive.
We did a lot of trauma work. It was mostly trauma work.
Yeah, and so the treatments weren't actually a whole lot, but more of it was helping him to shift his mind, because cancer can create a lot of fear. And so as Melissa's talked about many times, how when you have a treatment, when you have a diagnosis that requires, excessive treatment, sorry, I'm kind of rambling. But anyway, when you have a diagnosis that is life-threatening, as cancer may be, then it creates what's called the death.
Yeah, death scare.
The death
According
scare.
to Dr. Hamer, it's called the death scare. So you end up creating cancer cells within your lungs because it's a death scare. And then if you do have a a chemotherapy, cancer can start growing in the stomach because of a starvation trauma, because your body isn't receiving the nutrients that it needs. So he actually explained that that's what, when people say that the cancer is spreading, cancer, according to him, according to his medical research, they says that cancer cannot spread because it's not contagious. What it is different types of traumas that are being stored in different locations due to the trauma of being sick, or the trauma of cancer, of seeing the people around you mourning you and you know, slowly getting sicker and dying.
So having hope in survival is really important, because if you fear death, it's a good chance that's gonna complicate the issue and lead towards.
Or if you presume that's the solution, I mean, not the solution, but the natural result of this, and it's not. Like if Heavenly Father created your body with cancer cells and taught everybody's body that when you have trauma to form these dense cancer cells around the trauma, then God also has a solution. And that's what I would like you guys just to remember, that Heavenly Father always has a way. Your body always has a way. This is what your body is created to do. So have faith in your body, have faith in God. And like I said, we usually recommend doing this in line with whatever medical treatment that you're doing, and doing them side by side. So yes, Angela, if somebody's in remission, that's fine. If they want the work, remember, never fix people without them consciously asking for it. And ideally, they need to consciously participate, because they're not going to get better from an emotional trauma if you're doing it for them, because they need to actually consciously participate in that healing process. It's like you can't fill up somebody else's lamp with oil. You can't go to therapy or like marriage counseling for your husband, or let's say that your husband has an addiction. You can't go to marriage counseling and fix the whole relationship, come back and he's a different person. So it is something that we have to take that accountability for our own selves.
So that's why the shifting of the mind towards this cancer issue and the trauma associated with it is important.
Yeah. So going through all of those steps. And that's why we also recommend, in fact, all of the sabotage steps can be helpful, but we made sure that we kind of kept it as simple as possible here. Okay, so Darby asked, can the atmospheric energy help with electro hypersensitivity by harmonizing the frequencies in the atmosphere? I'm muscle tested, yes, but we've never tried it.
Yeah, there might be a little bit more to it. So
yeah, that might take a little bit. Yeah, be very careful though. So make sure that you follow those steps when you are working with the atmospheric energy. Because it can drain you and exhaust you. So we always want to invite cobalt into our system. In that, we also, I think we're breathing in atmosphere as we're doing it as well. There's a lot of steps in there. And yeah, we probably will need to make it its own document here and put it in the Miraculous Opportunities by itself. And so we can link that instead of self-sabotage.
In the manual, if you have the manual, I have a separate chapter on atmospheric energies.
Oh, okay. Rock on. Is it in the first manual or second manual?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And then John said, if you're in remission, the trauma may still be there, so you can address the trauma, remove the sand and pearls. So I agree. Like the problem with being in remission, like medical, if you're just doing medical treatment, is if they haven't healed from the trauma, the body will sooner or later rebuild those cancer cells. It'll take longer because the chemotherapy and the surgery and everything have broken down all of your natural defenses and all of the cells within your body. Well, not all of the cells, but has broken down like those white blood cells and the red blood cells and all of the different things that chemotherapy works on breaking down. So it takes longer for those cancer cells to rebuild around the trauma, but the trauma is still there, which actually makes it more toxic to the body, and tends to make that person a little bit more, struggling a little bit more emotionally.
There is always the possibility where, somebody that's faced with a severe situation is very humbling, which may end up resulting in the release of that trauma as well, because of the just kind of the reflection upon the life in which they've lived.
Yeah. So we highly recommend, just getting really familiar with the person and what they're experiencing, because it's true. Like if you have that humbling spiritual experience of healing, sometimes that does it all and you don't need to take any of these other steps. That's how it was for me with my brain tumor. Okay, so the compound here, this is after you've done all the trauma work, you've done all of the other work that we've just discussed. This will it's inviting in healing compounds. to assist the body in breaking down that tissue and rebuilding up healthy tissue. So there's a couple different compound options that you can do. This one specifically for the excess, well, they're both dense tissue, aren't
yeah,
they?
there's two different compounds for
dense
the
tissue?
dense tissue, and then one for the soft tissue.
Okay, and then that one's, and the soft tissue is usually the benign, and then the dense tissue is usually malignant, but we're not medical doctors. We can't prove that. That is strictly based upon our experience with other clients or ourselves, or muscle testing or intuition, or a little bit of everything.
So also keep in mind that there's various forms of cancer. So you may test that that's not the appropriate compound for the person, and that they need a different one. And so if that's the case, then if you're not able to put that together, then contact us and we'll assist you in putting that together.
Or you can go into the compounds and charts section and work on putting one together. I mean, if you are confident.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to.
Because we want you to learn. We want you guys to be self-reliant. So, if you're in that trauma state and you need that assistance right away, we'll help you. But we want to teach you. That is always our ultimate goal. We want you to be self-reliant so that you are not dependent on anybody else. It will help you when you're in the moment. So the compound concept. So you know what, Lori, my mind is not scientific either. The concept behind the compounds, and I'm not even going to link on the compounds right now. It's under compounds and charts on the last screen, the main original program screen. And what you're really doing is group A are all healing elements. So you've got emotions, spiritual emotions, spirit animals, oils.
Let me just give you, sorry about the
supplements, foods.
Yeah. Let me just give you an example. This plant here
is dying, but
it's not actually dying. I think it's growing.
We're taking very good care of this plant that we're putting on the video.
I water like once a week maybe. And
okay,
so this aloe vera plant, it has energy in it. And so we can actually invite that energy into us. So we don't have to digest it or ingest it and then absorb the energy of it that way.
Although sometimes that's more beneficial. Sometimes your body actually needs that more aggressive treatment.
Right. So,
but not always.
So an option is to just invite the same energy into us, and it goes into the meridians and is distributed to the body. So that's the most simple, basic.
So if my stomach's upset, I invite an absorbent to my meridian, aloe vera, continuously for 2 days, for the purpose of assisting my body in healing from this plague. And I ask the aloe vera energy to be distributed throughout my spirit, mind, and body for the purpose of healing. And at the end of this treatment, I release. Well, we usually do neutralize, diffuse, release, remove. And I lovingly thank this aloe vera for its love and its service. And that's it. Like, we've had some people say, do I have to do this every single day, like 5 times? No. Your energy, your spirit, your body is very intelligent. All you need to do is communicate what you want, and it will respect your agency. In fact, like, the whole earth is created for healing and to take care of us and to keep us alive. And that is why God made the earth the way he made the earth.
Yeah.
So it's respecting your agency. The earth could probably heal us so easily, but we don't ask. So we need to be direct. Like, many times we'll go out, and you guys have probably seen in all the appointment charts where I say go outside, and in fact it's in all the dark energies and all the veil energies as well with the compound. Go outside and stand in the sun and just invite in healing energy. However, the more specific you are, the better. So we usually recommend that specific. And then group B is I'm sorry.
Yeah, open invitation for positive energy to flow into you.
Yeah. And so group B is like, if you have Tylenol, right? Because Tylenol is more of stronger, chemicals and stuff like that. So group B is stronger. And so you want to invite it in like you would if you're taking something stronger like a Tylenol. And you don't want to take the whole bottle and just trust your body to take it, anyhow. So you actually need to instruct group B like 5 times a day for 20 minutes. or 20 minutes 5 times a day for 2 weeks. And then at the end of each of those treatments, we're neutralizing and diffusing. So as opposed to like the end of 2 weeks, it's at the end of the whole entire treatment. So, so anyhow, the compounds get easier and easier. I promise they won't be permanently difficult. It's really just if you look at it as becoming one with the energies all around you and offering that respect. It's actually not too difficult. It'll get easier. I promise. Practice. If it is overwhelming to you, I recommend dive in. The more time that you put into it, the easier it's going to get, and it's worth it. Yeah. Like the compounds, whenever you do the dark energy releases, we tested in one of our classes that her healing after removing the energy, how long will it take for her body to fully heal from the effects of that event or from the energy or from the curse? And I think it was like 9 months. Now that doesn't mean 9 months before you can do energy work again. That's not that type of testing. It's 9 months before your body fully heals from, whatever the result was. So if the result, like let's say you removed all the trauma energy, and then in your testing, okay, we built dense tissue around the trauma. So I do have cancer that I'm working on healing from. So the cancer is the part that I'm talking about. When the trauma's been released, how long does it take for the body to actually heal from the cancer? So whether you need dietary changes or supplements or a compound or more energy work, right? We're just testing how long it'll take for your body to heal. And so we tested that, like after she did that energy release, it was like 9 months. And then we did the going outside and just inviting in all the energy, just inviting in the Earth's energy. And I think it dropped it down to like 5 months. And then we did a compound, it dropped her down to like 2 months healing. So that's going to be the difference in, and of course you still need to be patient. Your body, we would love to get to that point where it's just like that, right? And we will. I believe it'll happen. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We're getting there. We really think that everything that we're doing here is like learning how to ride a bike, learning how to read. It's all, you need the basic, simple understanding. And in fact, even though everything that we do is so long and detailed and hard, I want you to recognize what has happened to me. So I understand it all, obviously, because we did the learning process. We wrote it up. We organized it. We've shared it with you. We do it with clients every day. We've taught it. Like it's become second nature to me, almost all of these energy releases. And so yesterday we were working with somebody and something happened. I don't remember what the detail was. We just needed to do a trauma release. That's all it was. And it was at the end of the session and she was asking for a trauma release. And I'm like, I'm sick. I need to go lay down. And he was like, I'm kind of at the end of the amount of time that I have available. And so I closed my eyes. I said, just give me a minute. I closed my eyes and I saw myself crouching down. And I know I understand the connections. I understand the energy. I understand the results on the body. I understand the walls, the barriers, the protection, the storage. Like I understand all the different components of the trauma energy. And I saw myself kind of curl up in a ball and I saw like this bright circle of light, shine around me. And I was able to, in my mind, process through all of the trauma steps in like 3 minutes. And once, like I kind of put my head back up and I was like, let's muscle test and see if she has any more emotional trauma. And the answer was no. And I was like, ha, 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 ha. Okay. And so all we had to do was give her the tapping, like some of the trauma visualizations and the tapping to do on her own. So I looked at him and I was like, you know what? If I hadn't gone through the busy work and the hard steps and the learning, all of the steps slow and boring and drawn out, I wouldn't be able to do that quickly because I cannot teach you what I just did. What I did is not something that I could just input and you could just curl up and make that happen. It won't work. Like I had to actually learn the boring steps first.
Yeah, so another example, Melissa and I,
boring's not fair to God.
For a dark energy, when we end up getting one of those, when we create them, it really just takes maybe less than a minute sometimes to remove them. So yeah, it can go a lot quicker once you understand everything that is involved in it.
And then Amy just asked about compounds. She wanted to know, and we do have a lot of compound training videos, you guys, too. But she said that she has a lot of migraines and she wants to know if the compounds will help with the migraines. Amy, honey, we still have a spiritual problem that you and I are working on. So until we take care of the full effects, we angered that anti-God with the treatment that we did a couple of days ago. And so we're still sort of under attack from him. So me and Amy are apparently like spirit sister. Well, we're all spirit brothers and sisters, but we have a really tight bond that we share everything. So every attack I have, she gets. Every attack she has, I get. And so she'll contact me and she'll be like, such and such is happening. I'm like, I know, I just did blah, blah, blah. And she's going, oh my goodness, I can't believe how we are experiencing the same thing at the same time. So that is why, so Amy, yes, you can do a compound. It can't hurt. I mean, we highly recommend doing everything that's within your power when you're still doing the bigger picture. We highly recommend anything that's within your power, but it's not going to be the full solution. I know that the migraines have been like a long-term issue for you as well. So we'll get to that. We're gonna go to the sick and tired and the spiritual attack. So if you do have a lot of headaches, those are the two that I would recommend: the sick and tired one and the spirit attack, because those are usually going to be your main solution. The compound is the follow-through or the follow-up. Okay.
Yeah, let's move on.
So the vanishing twin, you guys, I didn't change that. The vanishing twin, it just happens to do with if your mom was pregnant with twins and one of them ended up being absorbed into you or into your mother and only one viable child ended up developing, or if you've been pregnant. I have to say, I did do the vanishing twin treatment when I had a miscarriage earlier this year, and it helped. So, because I had absorbed the baby's DNA, even though most of it was fleshed out, I did absorb the baby's DNA. And so that is something, just kind of be open to all the different possibilities that the vanishing twin, it's just a compound, just a healing compound to assist your body. It has nothing to do with spirit work, because that's angelic. Like, that's within God's hands. That's not anything to be worried about. It's not like you're going to be tormented by anything bad. Like, this is more angelic. So nothing to worry about there. Okay, so the causing troubles with your teeth and mouth, I only added a little bit. The majority of this is a compound treatment to assist in, like, if you do have a lot of cavities or a lot of issues. So all I did was added step 1, okay, with a bunch of different links. So you can always tell when I added something because I'm adding just links to make it a little bit easier on you. If I do each step in here, each one is going to be like 40 pages long, and it's going to be so overwhelming. You're going to be like, oh, I'm done. I can't do this. Another verbal vomit moment from Melissa. So this one is just asking you some of the basic things that are influencing your teeth, right? And a lot of the issues with your teeth, because it's that first step in your digestion process. So sometimes it has to do with rejecting life or the words that we speak, okay? So no will to live energy. Do you have no will to live energy? Do you have the suicide energy? Do you have the fear of speaking? Do you need the shutdown tapping sequence? Do you have a trauma that's affecting your teeth? And are there any rebellious spirits being in your gums, your mouth, or your teeth? Is it a contracted spirit, and what energy are they contracted to? So then after you've done all of that, then you come down here and you work on the compound for like the dead roots or the tooth decay or whatever it is that you are influencing. And remember, this is generalized. This is not an everybody solution, but this just gives you some direction. Anything you want to say about the teeth?
No, other than the formatting needs to be corrected.
Oh well. He likes things being done properly, and I just get it done. So I don't pay attention to the details. I'm glad you do. Okay, the inflammation compound has not changed. What is affecting your eyesight? I have added some too. And this one used to just be a compound, but I want to kind of address, this is important, are your spiritual eyes open? And this is something that I did. So my old glasses were really, really thick. They're like goggles. And in fact, they've been like goggles since I was in kindergarten. And this is so much fun, okay? I went to, I can't remember what my prescription is because I don't really know that medical lingo. But I was thinking it was like a 4 or 4.75 or something like that because my eyes, really, really strong. And it may even be more than that. I don't remember what it was. And so after working on this, really the biggest part for me was having my spiritual eyes open. that was the tool for me. That was the main step for me. And doing a bunch of the work that's in the program. Excuse me. And I went to the eye doctor because my eyes were hurting so much every time I put on my glasses. Oh, my eyes hurt so bad. And so I went to the doctor and I knew what it was. I knew my prescription was too strong. And I told her, and she said, no, you have a degenerative eye disease called keratoconus or keratoconia or something like that. And she said, most likely you just need a stronger prescription. I said, no, the prescription's too strong. I know my eyes have been getting better. And she did all of her testing, and she just shook her head and laughed at me. She did all of her testing, and at the end, my prescription, I think it's a 2. It's either 1.75 or 2.25, somewhere in that range. And she just like scratched her head and she's like, I don't understand. What did you do? And I'm like, I worked on trauma and spirit healing and opening my spiritual eyes. And she just like rolled her eyes and she was like, okay, another one of those kinds of people. And I was like, hey, seriously, I dropped my prescription in half from a 4 down to a 2. So, granted, I'm not totally off my glasses. I'm getting there. I'm practicing. I'm working on it. We'll get there one day. That's the goal. Okay, I know it'll happen. And then, are you storing energy in your eyes? Which energies? So this takes you to the whole energies list because it could be anything, any of the energies. So I recommend you compile a list. If you're really dedicated to working on your eyes, compile a list. Put together exactly everything that is being stored, all the energies that are being stored in your eyes, and just knock them out one at a time. We don't usually recommend just doing one at a time. I don't recommend you just test and you get one answer and you do that and then you presume that's all. I recommend you compile a whole complete list, put it in your appointment form or your initial consult form, and if you want to organize it with symptoms and, eye issues, teeth issues, and all the energies that are connected to it, you can. That's a lot of work. But if you're doing it for yourself, you absolutely can. If you're doing it for a client, I like to just do the whole grid that has all the information in the initial consult. And then, do you have an infection in your eyes? That's important, right? And you know what? The treatment may not even be in our pathogen section, and that's where it is going to be beneficial to know how to do your own compound. And then, are there any external influences or external toxins, influencing your eyes? And then a compound treatment to assist your eyes in the healing process. And as we learn more, we'll add more because we're going to keep learning. That's what we do. Okay, so these remaining 4 are new, along with, so this one that was up here, the emotional one, and then these 4 down here are new because we get these questions a lot, so we decided to organize it. So I did kind of focus more on pornography over other addictions, but this is important. Like, so many women struggle so much when they find out that their husband or somebody that's close to them is struggling with pornography. And I remember in one of my sexual trauma therapy classes that I took for 1.5 years with the LifeStar program, that one of the girls was struggling so much, and she still does, and it's been probably 5 or 6 years that has been what has taken up most of her life, because for her it felt like a emotional infidelity. And so we just wanted to give you just a little bit of our thoughts at the beginning, that this has to do with what's going on within him. Usually it's an emotional disconnection because of fear of vulnerability, because it's more safe being alone. And learning how to really interact and connect with the other person in intimacy is a very important detail with overcoming. Because if your body is craving sexual intimacy, it's not about rejecting intimacy. It's about learning how to create that healthy intimacy with your spouse. So it's going to be a marital solution. And if it's something that you and your spouse don't participate in intimacy, I recommend working on that. That is going to be just as important as him healing, because he still has those physical, we all do. We all have those physical needs and those physical desires. Do you have anything you want to say?
No, I'm good.
I never have any concern talking about the sexual topics, but he gets a little.
Well, I'm okay with
a little quiet. Okay, so first thing to be aware of is how different addictions, specifically pornography, influences your spirit and the spirits that it invites into your presence. So always checking on your spirit first. Is your spirit 100% in your body and in one piece? Because your spirit can be offended by the behavior and departed from your body, or even forced out of your body. So control energies, control anchors. Are there any spiritual sexual organs? Okay. Is your spiritual vagina in your physical vagina? Is your spiritual penis inside your physical penis? Like, get very specific, okay? And if the answer is no, because a lot of times if somebody has, what is it where you can't get an erection?
Erectile dysfunction. Yes,
if you have erectile dysfunction or any of those other sexual terminologies, a lot of times that your spiritual organ is not inside your physical organ. And so check to see why. And you know what, if the reason is not 100% on the list, keep trying. Keep open up your mind to inspiration, look around in the program. If you use other modalities, go ahead, throw in there whatever else that you're aware of to help make this better. We usually find that if there's either dark energy, where we usually have a contracted rebellious spirit that happens to be in that space. So if you did participate in pornography, sometimes a contracted rebellious spirit will actually be in that space, which will have kind of knocked your spirit out. So that's the dark energies. Okay, go through the dark energies and find out which dark energy and go through the whole thing. It could be a rejection of your sexual organs. If you have been raped, if you have been molested, if you have been traumatized sexually, whatever the reason is, you could have rejected your sexual organs. So go through the false organs document. Now we're still working on that one. That one is in the incompleted section. So when you get to it, you'll see that there's a few steps that are not done. So I apologize. Hopefully by the time you're watching this video, if you're watching a replay, that it'll be complete. Heavenly Father sometimes gives us 75% of the work and then holds back a little bit until we're ready for the full amount. And that's kind of where we are. But I think we'll be done with the false organs here pretty soon. The false organs and the junk energy, I think we'll be done with. Hopefully soon. Okay, so the next one is a spiritual disconnection. So if your sexual organs are not connected to the rest of your body, or not connected to, like if some of your sexual organs are disconnected from other sexual organs, you're not going to be able to reach climax. So that's important as well. So seriously, if you're dealing with pornography, we're dealing with sex. Like, we're not just dealing with the images and the spiritual attacks. You're dealing with, we're dealing with that physical need that's going on with your body and what is happening. If your body is only responding to pornographic images, we need to be fully aware of the why. Like, what is deeper that is also going on. Okay. So most likely, you will also need to do the mind subconscious suggestions and create some positive images. Do you want to talk about?
Well, yeah.
I'm going to get a drink.
I want to include the mind subconscious suggestions in here because pornography especially is going to have some images associated with the image that you're looking at. So it's not just that one image. That's what I'm saying. So it's going to also put that image within your mind, and it's going to replay over and over. Okay, so make sure that when you go through this, after you release or remove the mind subconscious suggestions, that you put in some positive images instead. Positive image might include something like you and your spouse together in a loving relation,
intimate moment.
Yeah, or a setting, and yeah, so something that inspires you to live morally. Okay, so so you can create these types of images, or what you can do is actually ask for some angels to assist you in forming them. But ideally, it's best when you do it for yourself. Okay.
So on step 2, A and B, A is the removal, B is the creation of healthier images.
Yeah.
And then step 3, you most likely have some rebellious spirits. Now, this doesn't mean you have to do the rebellious spirits last. You may want to do the rebellious spirits first. These are just all the different things that are influencing you, not necessarily in order of importance. But yeah, you need to make sure that you remove the rebellious spirits. So we just have the simple clearing of your space and a simple shielding. Because if anybody's read Visions of Glory, you know that that Spencer talks about when somebody is participating in masturbation with pornography, that there's like a sliver, wasn't it like a sliver in his forehead, and rebellious spirits jumped in to like ride the high. So you need to make sure that you clear your space after something like that has happened. And so, you know what, you guys, if your husband or somebody that you love is struggling with this, don't shame them. Don't put them in a place of, oh my goodness, you know what you're doing, all these horrible things. That awareness is there. It's a matter of helping them in a very safe way to recover from the effects. And every time they slip, I highly recommend that if you really look at them in a very loving, godly manner, you can say, okay, let's do the cleanup. Okay, after they slip, let's do the cleanup, and let's work on removing the negative cords and removing the walls in our relationship so that we can create a safe, loving, intimate dynamic emotionally. So you need that emotional intimacy before you can have that physical intimacy.
Yeah, with removing the rebellious spirits, one of the ones that we don't have listed here, which would probably be helpful, is to remove the manager, because if you're not controlling the thoughts within your mind already, then it's going to be challenging.
By the time this is posted in the program, it'll already have it in there. We'll just
add that one.
That'll be easy. So step 5, check for the deception infection. This is only a maybe. Every now and then we find that the rebellious spirits will leave a stronger weapon of attack. And that is going to make it hard for that person to overcome this addiction if they have a deception infection. And then these are some dark energies that we always recommend: the addiction dark energy, shame dark energy, sexual dark energy, sexual sin tapping, and different trauma steps. And you know what, you guys, the sexual sin tapping is actually good if you're a victim as well. It's not only if you participated in, because if you've been raped, sometimes it feels as though that you have participated in sexual sin as well. So remember that I'm doing my best to make it work for everybody. So please don't get offended because that one was a hard one to write. So please don't get offended if something that is in the tapping sequences doesn't relate to you. Just input the words that do relate to you, the ones that are the most important for you. Okay, and the addiction dark energy, you guys, that one's so much fun. I'm sorry, it's intense, it's long, but it has so many beautiful steps. Like, it'll make you cry like nobody's business. But I recommend that if you're doing this for somebody else, because a lot of you guys are doing this for your family members and people that you love, just certain steps they need to participate in. There's a lot that you can do for them. A lot you can do for somebody else. But there's also a lot of steps they need to do as well. So use your intuition. Do as many steps as you can on your own. And when you go through it, if you just keep feeling the spirit just saying, you need to share this, this person needs to do this step, then take that time to communicate with that other person that step and allow them to hear you and interact and be a part of their healing in some of these dark energies. Okay, and as you know, the dark energies all have the contracted rebellious spirit, the contracted curse, the contracted energy. It's not the same as if you guys do sometimes input other programs into our modality. Be very careful when you do the dark energies, because we just highly recommend you do the steps that we have, because there's so many components with how the energy is shared, with the different connections, with the way it's stored, with the toxins, with the locations that it's stored, and then, like I said, the contracted rebellious spirit, and the contracted curse, that all have to be removed in a very specific manner.
All right, so for the trauma,
this is just the link that we went over with the trauma work, with that emotional, the emotional struggles.
This can come into play because, as an example, we know that it's been well documented that those who've been sexually abused are likely to get involved in these types of activities, just for many different reasons. Right. I'm not going to go into all that because I think it's well documented.
People who have been molested tend to struggle with emotional intimacy with other people. So sometimes pornography is easier than being vulnerable with somebody else, because they've been molested and injured by being with another person.
Yeah. So the trauma steps, that's why they're in there.
And that is the big long link that we just went through, just to see what else you need to do. Self-sabotage steps.
Melissa's expertise, but yeah, I can talk about this real quick.
It's
too.
not only life coaching, you
So-
guys. There's so much more.
Yeah, there's work that is important in this shifting the mind. Okay, that's the key. It's self mastery is what it really is. Being able to control your own thoughts, and especially
Naturally, though, easily.
Yeah,
Like having your automatic emotional response naturally being Christ-like, not forcing it or controlling it.
and it takes work. It takes effort. It takes daily, consistent effort to do this, and that's what the self-sabotage steps offer.
Mhm.
Is a method in which you can work through on a daily basis on how to overcome the negative thought patterns that you have.
And Heavenly Father's taught us that there's a self-sabotage mastery program that we need to put together, but He hasn't directed us to begin that yet. So we did a few little steps, but we were directed to do something else instead. So I don't know when that'll ever happen, but when we're ready, when it's time,
There's
whenever
some,
that is.
Yeah, there's some other things in our program that assist beyond that, such as the belief life cycles and also the hands-on neuro technique.
Mhm.
They would probably be in that as well.
I probably should have linked that. That might actually be in here soon, the belief life cycles with the self-sabotage steps. Those are really beautiful.
Okay, so the concept to reality.
This
This
is important because most addiction is participating in the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah, and so beautiful visualizations with those steps. And so if you haven't gone through that one yet, I recommend it, just because most people are probably dealing with at least one of those on one level. So those are going to be affecting, for the most part, anybody that lives in the world, because we're influenced by the world.
Right, and the visualization does do the tree of life, which I thought was just a beautiful way for Heavenly Father to teach us how to overcome these 7 deadly sins. And there's also a training video, and then all of the steps. And if you're doing this with somebody else, we never recommend test where they are in their level. This is only for you. So if you are doing your own steps, go ahead and test, see if it's in concept level or reality level. Concept is where you're thinking of pornographic images. Reality level is where you're actually participating in, deeper, further sexual sin, whatever that looks like. So we never recommend that you test that on somebody else, because that is very private. So it's a beautiful visualization. Yeah, fire one on the left. That we definitely recommend, if you haven't done that yet, to go ahead and do that. And then number 13, conflict resolution, step 1 and step 2. So the reason why that's in there is just, if you've been participating in addictive habits, you probably have some conflict in your home. It's probably between you and your parents, between you and your kids, between you and your siblings, or between you and your spouse. So it's just as important as healing from the cause, what is causing you to act out, to make sure that you also heal those dynamics in your relationships as well. And if you ever need it, remember we have the 5-day marriage classes. And if you're not married, please still watch them. Each one of them has their own little tidbit. And the easiest way to find that, it's in the self-sabotage program, but also right here under videos. It's the very first set of videos that we, excuse me, that was an elegant sneeze. Okay, and then when you're ready, we recommend, and the only reason why we added the merging as a couple, because we really think that if there is some emotional disconnection due to specifically pornographic addiction, remerging as a couple and recreating that intimacy and recreating that connection and feeling safe together is going to be one of the most important ways to move forward. Because if you need to, yes, you can clean up from the past of looking at pornography, but how are we going to in the future not continue that process? So if you have that physical need to be able to really be connected intimately with your spouse, these are the steps that we do. The conflict lenses, intimidation energy, remove the negative cords, remove the negative walls, and then take the steps to merge. And that is what we've done. We've merged our energy sources together, and those can become disconnected. Every time we have a fight, we have to clean up and we have to redo it all. And that's okay. We've gotten it down to really, really fast. But we had to learn slow. We had to learn how to take the steps, and now we're able to do it really quick. And that is something that we encourage you guys to learn the steps good enough that you're able to start doing these a lot faster. Okay, that is everything that we have right now in the addiction steps. As we've said, as we learn more and as we do work with other people and there's still more issues that need to be addressed, we might link more. So we'll either be adding more to the program or linking more. So these steps are going to be always changing, I assume, and we're probably going to always be adding more. And that's good. Are you sick and tired?
Melissa,
I'm sick
you
and
need
tired.
this one.
My head doesn't feel good. I actually, when I got water, I was like, oh, I feel gross. You wanna talk about this one, honey?
Yeah. So another thing that okay. So when we initially think of being sick, yeah, we want to go to the pathogens, but there are other issues that could be involved as well.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling down, something to consider is that your energy source is your spirit. So you may want to check to see how your spirit's doing first too. And so if you check your spirit, see if it's 100% in your body, see if it's in one or more pieces, see if there's any energetic wounds. And if there are any of those issues, work on cleaning it up. And so if you have those issues, there might be there might be a spiritual attack, okay? So if there's an attack, then make sure that you clear your space, and then you can work on going through the steps of healing your spirit through that. So the control anchors, so the thing is with some spiritual attacks,
that's just usually the first place we start.
Yeah,
it's not the only place, just the first place we start.
A lot of times spiritual attacks can come from another person, another mortal person. And so control energies is a big issue for people. And so if you get hit by a destructive control energy,
or if you're just ticked off at your ex-husband,
yeah,
like your spirit respects your agency so fine-tuned that, like, your spirit is so fine-tuned to your agency, that's what I mean to say, that anytime that it's like, I don't want her to think that, I don't want my husband to think that, I don't want my child to suffer, you know, why does he keep on gossiping about me, you know, that type of stuff. It's control. It's control in the most detailed manner. It's not like a power and control issue that a perpetrator has that is really huge that most people recognize. It's a very fine-tuned, when we're really learning how to respect agency the way that Christ respects agency.
Yeah.
So we do it a lot. We have to do the control energies a lot.
Yeah, the control.
That's like a maintenance that we do like weekly or daily.
Yeah, the control energies will drain your energy. Sometimes if you get a destructive energy, it'll rip your spirit in pieces. So that's why we put that on there at the top. Okay, so as I said, there's also the pathogens that we want to address, and all the links are in there. And so just go through it and work on the compounds. For the most part, they're going to be compounds.
Can you scroll up to one really quick? We've talked to you guys about this in one of the other classes, and just in case you didn't see it, we have a quick view document for all the control energies. So that is one that if you have a really deep, intense one, you may need to go just the control energy section and do each specific one. But the quick view document is something that was me trying to make your life a little bit easier. Okay. So anyhow, you did say spirit, healing, all these things. Okay. So step 2.
Pathogens. I just covered that as well. So there's not really much to say. Just get familiar with some of these, especially with the viral bacterial treatments. We do have videos on those as well. And it does take a little bit of practice to kind of get familiar with it and identify how they influence you. Because we look at the sources of the pathogen, and then we treat the pathogen based upon the source. Okay, so if it's like earthly created or if it's man-made created, maybe made by, well, there's ones that are made by
Rebellious
rebellious
spirit,
spirit,
earthly, man-made,
godly.
godly. You can tell that we're both feeling
Yeah.
a little down and out. We can't think, but just remember that all of this, or all of the causes, are not only pathogens. A lot of times it is spiritual. Like many times somebody comes to us and they're just like, oh, I don't feel good. And a lot of times it's just that their spirit's not 100% in their body. So we do those treatments before we even go. And that's why when I was telling you guys, I want to do the questions real quick. That's when I was telling you that I'm just recovering from a plague and an anti-God attack. I'm not even contagious. I don't even have anything to be treated in the pathogen section. It was solely the plagues, and so anyhow, these are the different questions we want you to ask. This one is all the different compounds. And then, do you have a plague? Do you a plague treatment? I will be fixing that. Do you need a plague treatment? Do you need the Spanish flu treatment? Do you have a viral or bacterial infection? Do you have a yeast infection? Do you need the Epstein-Barr treatment? And do you have a sinus infection? And so I wanted to make it so that you knew what questions to ask, because we're not like saying, do you have the Epstein-Barr virus? Because that's like a diagnosis, and that gets a little bit tricky. So just seeing which treatments you need. A lot of times, like I'll go through and I'm like, well, you may not have, like in the toxins here, you may not actually have plutonium in your home, but do you need the treatment? So that's the question I want you to ask. If you have any toxins influencing you, do you need the plutonium compound? Do you need the heavy metals, prions, free radicals? Do you need that compound? Do you have poison? Do you have poison in your system, or do you need the chemical warfare compound? So this just makes it simple. And then click on it, and it's there. Okay, it takes you to that spot in the program, so that you don't have to. So many times we've talked about, you just go here, you just go there. It's so easy. But you know what? In the peace protocols, that's something that she does, and I just kind of sit there and scratch my head, and I'm like, I can't find it. I don't know where that is. But she does. And so that's why I thought this is going to be so helpful for you guys. This one's my favorite. If you have a mosquito bite, try this out. This is new. This is new for me to actually try. Every time I've had a mosquito bite, like it itches for weeks, and I itch it until the sucker bleeds, and then sometimes it starts to hurt instead of just itch. And and even Paul, poor guy, like he's been like in the middle of the night just scratching on his leg, like, oh, I'm dying here. And so I tried this. Like, this was just kind of out of the blue this last week. I tried the serpent removal in our advanced section, and so I just copied and pasted it here to make it easier for you. And my mosquito bites all went away. I went into my garden. Okay, I'm gonna get up close and personal here. So I went into my garden, and our garden has been under attack. It does not look pretty. It looks like a jungle, and we have pulled weeds like nobody's business, and the plants ain't growing, and usually it does pretty well. I mean, I'm no master gardener, but usually it's decent. We eat out of our garden usually all summer.
The tomato plants, we shouldn't be. It's like we should be kind of controlling them.
We had so many tomatoes last year. We had bowls. We were going to neighbors with big, massive bowls of tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchini, and melons, because we couldn't eat them all before they went bad. And it's like literally, I think like 3 or 4 of our closest neighbors that we know, we were just every couple of weeks, would you like some more produce? Yeah. We cannot eat this fast enough. It's going bad.
And this year we have like 3 times as tomatoes, but we've only got a few small handfuls.
We've had like one viable cucumber. All the other cucumbers, all of the zucchini got ruined by bugs within the first couple of days. All of our lettuce and our mustard leaves were bitter and disgusting. They tasted so bad they made me almost like throw up when I tried to eat them. And the tomato plants look like a jungle, but nothing is growing. That's just massive amounts of jungle. And they grew because we had so many tomatoes last year that I only planted 2 tomato plants this year, and there's like 40 out there.
Yeah, the tomato
insane.
plants that we planted, they didn't even grow. It's the seeds that were left over in the ground from last year, they grew.
That's a long tangent. I am so sorry. The point is, I went out in the garden this last week, and I was just ripping up weeds like crazy. I was like just destroying the weeds. I'm like, that's it. I'm done with the dead plants. I'm done with the weeds. I can't even get to anything that could be viable because there's so, like, it's out of control. And I'm telling you, we weed, but apparently it's been cursed. I'm telling you, our garden is cursed right now.
There definitely is something.
I got bit by 20 to 30 mosquitoes, and I swear I heard Paul thinks it's a cicada, but I swear that I heard a rattlesnake. Like, it was such a bad, intense experience. I came in, my legs.
You heard.
Oh my gosh, it could have been. My legs and my arms, I'm not joking. It looked like I had poison ivy. There were so many mosquito bites. It was so bad. When I say 20, I might be under exaggerating. And it does look sad. So anyhow, I was in such misery that I just kind of had one of those epiphanies, one of those thank you, Heavenly Father moments, where I was like, we were learning about the serpent, how to remove some of the advanced spirits, and one of them responds to the name the serpent, because they all respond to different titles, right, based upon their hierarchy that they're in. And so that is the serpent one. And I did the serpent, and by the next morning, all my mosquito bites were gone. And I was like, whoa, that was supposed to last a month. Like, usually mosquito bites, they last a month, a couple of weeks at the very least. And so 2 days later, I got a mosquito bite right here on the inside of my arm. And I immediately did the serpent. And within like 2 hours, the mosquito bite was gone. So I think it works, but I need you guys to practice it too. It works on me.
So the lesson here.
I don't know if it works on anyone else yet.
Tonight, everybody go out,
get some mosquito bites.
A little after the sun goes down, and hang outside for a little while, and then give it a shot.
Right, so go outside, get at least 2 or 3 mosquito bites, do the serpent removal, and report back. Return and report. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm so glad we can laugh. Okay, so that's all we have in here right now. Just because, to tell you the truth, step 1, 2, and 3 typically takes care of your sickness. And then be patient with your body, you guys. Like, we can't, even if we do these treatments, you're not gonna feel amazing. But my fever went away, my hot and cold chills went away, my the intense sinus pressure that I had, that was like, I swear, I felt like my head was gonna explode. That all went away. I'm just still congested, raspy throat, and tired. I can live with that. I can survive with congestion, raspy throat, and tired, right? Okay, so be patient with your body in this one. Oh, she wants to know if we can get rid of the pesky cats that keep on jumping in her yard and trying to kill her birds, which they did run off one of her birds. That was sad. Okay, so you're an empath. Yes.
Yeah, empath. What do you do?
Isn't this awesome? We've had so many people ask for this, and we usually just give you an idea in all of our classes, and I think it's kind of easy to find everything, but still it's not. So so here you are. So you're an empath. How to make this a blessing instead of a curse. And I don't mean curse in like the real curse form. I mean curse as in I'm trying to be funny. So laugh when you hear that. Don't think that it's really a bad thing, because it's not. Maybe I should change the wording on that, because we do work with curses in this program. That can
you should say instead of a headache or something.
Instead of misery. Yeah, exactly. I may change that. Okay. Just because we work with curses so much. Okay, so first thing we want to do is we want to figure out what your titles are. And if you've never visited your titles, there's a lot of stuff in these steps are going to be in the miraculous opportunities for your spirit. And I think that those are often overlooked. So some of these may sound new to you, just like the atmospheric energy and the light healing that was in the Cancer steps. You might be like, I had no idea that was there. So that's why these steps are here, so that you can find them a little bit easier. So remember to go through and muscle test which titles that you're awoken to. And you can always test which ones that are still sleeping or dormant. And we always recommend at least knowing what they are. These are not This is not like the life coaching where they give you like your personality types. These are like the different talents, like in the parable of the talents that Heavenly Father has given you. How can you expand upon them? And we find that kids usually have a few less because they're young, and somebody who's in serious addiction tends to have less because they're just not ready for more. Heavenly Father is not going to put too much on their plate. And some of you guys have all of them. So we'll see. Blessing instead of bane. That's not a bad idea. That could work.
Yeah. Okay.
So number 2, how many, this one, I don't think I have it written anywhere else in the program. I do it with every single appointment that I do, but I don't think it's actually written in the program to ask these questions.
I don't think so either.
How many of your chakras are functioning? Is your energy organized? Is your energy scattered? How wide are your energy fields, which means the distance that they expand from your body? What is God's will for the distance of your energy fields from your body? Didn't come out. You guys, I was sick when I wrote this, and I was like feeling really inspired. I'm so sorry.
But at least you got the apostrophe in the God.
I don't usually do the apostrophes, and he's always trying to go back and fix my missing apostrophes. Okay, so what do we recommend? Okay, so right, God's will. So let's say that my energy fields are 20 miles, and God's will is 18 inches. That's definitely going to need some work, right? We can acknowledge that. So do the hands-on neuro technique. This one, if you haven't done it, it's awesome. And I know it's long. I'm sorry. I have been working on trying to make it shorter, but just these steps are so important. I just don't know what else to say. So there is a video that you're welcome to do. This is the updated video, not the one that we did first that had, it was a little bit too drawn out, and we were working with a client that was suffering. So highly recommend going through these steps. They're pretty amazing. And it even has the different body points that you're going to need some massage on. So if you're doing it alone, you can get as many as you can possibly get. If you have somebody else with you, you can ask them for some help. You can also ask the angels to help massage those points. Lots of different ways that you can, work around it and think outside the box. Okay. You're welcome, Michelle. Like, that's exactly what we've heard from a lot of people, that sometimes it's hard to find your way around and you end up missing out on some of the really important things. So I think it definitely helps simplify it. Okay, are you absorbing other people's energy? Okay, so this one's one of our favorites that we usually tie these two hand in hand, the hands-on neuro and the converting the negative into positive. And that one's fast. That one's really fast. You can do that one in just a couple of minutes. That one's not going to take you too long. Yeah,
just a paragraph, actually.
Mm-hmm. And then step 4, are you carrying other people's junk energy? This one we are also still working on. It is also currently in the incompleted. It will be moved to the proper location once it is done. So if you do a lot of work on the incomplete material and you notice it disappears one day, it's because we finished it and it's finally in its proper destination. And if you can't find it, I'm so sorry. That may be difficult.
There's a few in there that might be in there for a long time.
There's a few, yes. The Shame Annihilation Natural Man might be in there for a very long time. That one's been on the back burner for a while. Okay, so the junk energy, this is energy that does not belong to you, energy that you have adopted as your own, that you're storing in your energetic body, not your spirit, not your energy fields. Yes, your physical body as well. So usually store in your physical body and your energetic body. And for me, that's what I've been storing in my fat cells. And I had put on a lot of weight when I did this energy work. And I've had so many of you energy workers come up to me and say, I started gaining weight when I started doing energy work. Why? What's going on? And I found it's junk energy. So I am expecting some weight loss, but we're still completing the junk energy. So we're also calling it stuck energy, junk energy, or blue moon energy, because it basically...
It goes through a process.
It's like a deceptive energy that fools your body into thinking it's your own. So if you're one of those people who have reached out to us and said, I think I had sexual trauma as a child, I don't remember it, but I keep testing that I do, it might not be your energy. It might be somebody else's junk energy. It could be like, Allie Dizette actually made a comment on our LDS energy medicine page about when somebody dies that their excess energy, not the stuff that's in their spirit, but their excess energy like scatters and kind of departs to it becomes inherited, departs to the loved ones or the people who who are mourning, and something like that. I may be misquoting her a little bit. I apologize if I am. And and so what we found is that we tend to have an energetic body because the adversary wants to have his hand in the role of our mortal experience. And so the physical body and the spirit and the energy fields are godly. The energetic body is not. It is only storing junk energy from somebody else. So we're actually working on converting the whole spirit body, or removing the whole, not spirit body, energetic body, removing or converting it or doing something with this junk energy so that it's a huge shift, so that it's not even, because really when we were working on removing the junk energy, I kept on, getting more. I lost a couple of pounds the first day that we did it, and then I kept on, taking on more junk energy. And that happens, when you're trying to help somebody else to get better and to heal and to recover, it just tends to be a natural thing that we tend to do. We want to help somebody. We want to help them relieve their burden. We want to help carry that the weight that they're carrying around. And unfortunately, we do it very literally. So that one will be permanent soon. But for now, do the steps that are there. It can't hurt. And as soon as we get it completed, it'll be up there. A search bar, I know, Michelle. You know what? Michelle said, wouldn't it be awesome if there was a search bar? If we were paying for the $1,000 web host, we probably could, but we are not. We can't afford that. So yeah, it's just one of those sacrifices we have to make for making the program available to everybody. So in doing so, we're just trying to simplify it for you.
Yeah. Actually, originally they were all put in with Google Docs, and I don't think a search bar would work with Google Docs. Yeah. I'm not sure it would actually work in this format either, because it's through
an external link.
It's through an app, and so it's not like text words into the
it would be awesome.
Website itself.
Yeah, it would be awesome. But yeah, at this time it's okay. We'll learn, right? You guys, it'll become easier, I promise. I know this is overwhelming, and I know that if you're new to energy work and you're like, oh my goodness, what in the world are we going to learn?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
If we hide everything, people are going to be searching everywhere for it, and then they'll come across everything else.
And then they'll learn it all.
Yeah.
I do want to show you something. Once we're done with this, I want to show you that I have organized your training videos. So if you are new to this, hold on. Don't give up because we've been going on for so long. Hold on, and I'll show you how we've organized our training videos so that you can receive the training you need. Okay, and we just recommend, it's self-study, so you pick and choose what you need. But we also recognize people don't know what they need if they don't know what if you don't know what you're missing, you don't know what you need to learn. How do you know what you need to learn? So we've tried to make that easier for you. So I'll show that to you in a little bit. We'll try and go a little bit quicker. I know we're already at 1 hour and 40 minutes. So this is important. Are you still seeking your purpose in life? This is the Building Up the Holy City document. We've had a lot of people kind of come to us just saying that they're just really struggling. And we may even put that whole belief life cycles in here somewhere as well, because that's important too. But Building Up the Holy City, those are just some different callings that Heavenly Father has available to us to start training in. And for me, I think it helps me to have a purpose. And I love that. That's really powerful. And then if you have any control energies, that's really going to mess up your ability to, like when you're receiving other people's energy, let's work on those control energies. And let me kind of scroll up here again. When in the church, we have the document, the Family Proclamation to the World. And my favorite line is the house of order, house of prayer, house of God. And your body is your house. It is the temple for your spirit. So we want to have your energy so organized that when other people come into your space, it doesn't cause you to get sick. It doesn't cause you to get scattered. It doesn't cause you to be drained. And the control energies down here, where are we? Step 6. Those control energies are going to be an ongoing maintenance that you're going to probably do a lot. And once you get your energy organized, you're going to be able to recognize immediately, oh, I think I have a control energy. Something changed. And you can go through that light energy release. And I've gotten so familiar with it now that I don't even have to go through the peace offering steps word for word. I feel them. I feel them for the person who's upset with me, and like saying a prayer, but really having an honest, loving peace offering. And then I know the light energies well enough now that I can close my eyes, see the light energy, and the control energy is gone. So get used to those control energies. Get really familiar with them so you can do them as quick as I am now. Okay, so 7. Did I say 7? Okay, 7. You can also create positive cords with everybody on the planet. That's a pretty awesome one. You can join a rainbow of energy. That one's pretty cool. You have to just read the document. That one's awesome.
Yeah, you need to be prepared for that. That's not basic steps. So
it is in the miraculous opportunities, though.
Yeah.
So
both of them, the cords
correct.
with all people as well. You got to be prepared for that. You
we
have
recommend
to
you're a
offer,
higher level.
Yeah, you have to sincerely want to love every person upon this planet.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you feel like you're ready for that, then you can. Like the rainbow of energy, the way that I see it is joining in with all the angels and joining in with like that light of godly energy that we're radiating from the earth, and really, really becoming one with this higher purpose. And so that rainbow is really beautiful, but he's right. You need to be ready for it. And if you're not ready, it's okay. Just hold off. You'll be ready soon.
And your spirit may end up connecting to it, when it's ready anyway. So
yeah,
just kind of, it's an awesome thing to be part of, but just be ready for it.
And then, do you struggle with what other people think of you? Beautiful tapping sequence. I think the empaths struggle with that the most. I use this one a lot. And it's called I Don't Care What People Think of Me, because I really do. I care a little too much. And that is something I have been really working on overcoming so that I can respect their agency and allow them to think what they want to think. And then, are you a people pleaser? There's a people pleaser dark energy. You struggle with self-sabotage? I highly recommend those steps, you guys. They're beautiful. They're educational. There's a lot of energy work. It organizes a lot of the preparatory steps that you need to do. I think it just helps you to figure things out a little bit easier. Do you have healthy boundaries with other people? So in self-sabotage number 9, linked right here, there's a lot of boundary work, a lot of steps with boundaries. Do you have the self-rejection, self-perfection dark energy? It just tends to be impasse. We tend to have that one. Self-destructive is one too, the self-destructive dark energy. I don't have that one linked though. And then, do you have knots in your umbilical cord with your mother or your children? This is usually your heavenly mother, your earthly mother, and your children that we're doing the knots in the umbilical cord. But we've also found some people have too many knots. It's not in the document, but because this is kind of new, or not knots, too many umbilical cords. So for instance, because it's like this nurturing cord, nurturing positive cord. So if you have like 20 umbilical cords with one of your children, then they're probably overly clingy. They probably are having a hard time sleeping in their own bed, weaning from nursing. They just have a really hard time going to school, like too many umbilical cords. So we need to remove the negative ones and just have that healing, godly one.
There's actually, when you bring that up, there's actually a thought that I've been thinking of lately. And
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So if you don't mind muscle testing for us and kind of think about this. So you may have a pseudo ancestor or even a
deep.
pseudo child.
That's deep.
So the number of umbilical cords, if
a
you
pseudo
have
child or a child that's departed, like a miscarriage or stillbirth or a SIDS.
I don't know, but
okay, that's good, you guys.
So if you want
don't ask
to,
what a document is, because this is new to me.
Yeah, if you want to muscle test Melissa and ask, let's ask just with your mom, okay?
Okay, Helen.
Does she have any pseudo ancestors?
Yes. I think we do have this written somewhere. Do we have this written somewhere?
We've talked about it before, and it's in the priestcraft document, but it's not.
Okay, so it's there, but it's not actually. Okay, so we don't have anything that you can actually work on
yet. It needs work.
Okay.
So, what I was thinking about with your mom, you can ask how many umbilical cords does she have
to pseudo ancestors?
To pseudo ancestors. And we bring them out.
I've got over 20.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, how many umbilical cords does she have to her true mother?
Just one. That's good. But her mom's also in Spirit Paradise, so her mom probably cleaned that up.
Yeah, it can maintain that one, though.
So, what about to me?
Right.
Do we have too many umbilical cords? We do. Mom, you and I have too many umbilical cords.
So
We need to clean that up.
how many pseudo children does she have?
One, but she did lose one. So I think that's the pseudo child that she has.
Okay, so maybe not. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have to kind of explore that more. So
yeah,
just kind of
that is something that we might work on. That'd be good.
Yeah.
That may be another one of those in the process documents that we'll start working on.
I was gonna put that in right up to date.
Yeah, good.
Additional spirits.
Yay! Thank you. That was awesome. Okay, so number 15. And this is important because we just talked about the umbilical cord, removing excess umbilical cords. Because, like I said, that's not in the document. So I think you're going to cut it in fact, you know what, we may have to add it to the document. Because when I did it, I didn't do it quite the same as a normal cord cutting. Yeah, I may have, you know what, I'm probably going to have to add some in here. I may have to add some in here. So I can't remember exactly because my head's still kind of foggy from being sick. So yeah, working on how to remove the excess umbilical cords will have to get written up here soon. As you know, we're always learning more, right? We come across something where somebody's like, oh my goodness, this is driving me nuts. And we find out what it is and we have to work on the solution. So do you desire to share love with your family? This is important. This I don't have written anywhere else. So close your eyes and imagine that you're holding this ball of energy. And it's usually about, it's about that size. Okay, every time I usually see it. And you can feel it. So let's say I'm focusing on my youngest child because I'm worrying the most about him because he's my youngest. And so I feel it with all of my motherly love for him. And then I'm going to offer him this ball of energy and invite him to put it into his heart. This is a healthier way to share your love instead of a control energy or instead of too many umbilical cords. That is going to be the more godly way to share your love, because too many umbilical cords or control energy, that is the adversary trying to convince us that that is the solution. But God's solution is always more beautiful. So that ball of energy is one of my favorite things to do for mothers and their children whenever we do remove some of the control energies. Okay, did I get all of the chats? Yeah, I think I did. Okay. So number 16, do you crave connection with your spouse but struggle with feeling loved? So conflict resolution 1 and 2, remove your negative cords, remove your walls, remove your conflict lenses, and merge your energy. And I think that when people ask us, they're like, how have you guys done so much in such a short amount of time? And how are you able to continuously tackle this? And my answer is, 1, this is our full-time job. So if you feel inspired to donate to the cause, please do. This is our only income. So we put all of our time and effort into this. Heavenly Father is always teaching us, and we're always listening. And anytime we have to go down the rabbit hole, right, where we're learning something that is totally different and totally kind of like out there, we go down the rabbit hole. And we go with it, and we see what we have to learn, because we are like little children. So we take that opportunity to remember that we have a lot of growth still to do. And the other one that I always say is the main reason why we're able to get as much accomplished in the time we have is the fact that we are sharing energy. We are a complete energy source, masculine and feminine, husband and wife. We share it all. So if I get sick, or should I say, if I have a spiritual attack, his spirit is also under attack. If I'm suffering something emotionally, if I come with a dark energy, he does too. We are sharing everything. The only time that we don't share is if we're in conflict and we intentionally separate and put up walls and boundaries. And then we will have 2 separate energies that we need to work on.
And we talk about opposition quite a bit, and I'm not going to go into that spill, but the opposition is what prompts us to learn more. So if you think there's a lot of stuff in the program, it's because we've had a lot of opposition.
And I'm grateful for it. Paul is really sweet. Whenever we come across opposition, he's like, okay, this must be an opportunity for us to learn something new. So if we're fighting, he's like, there's something else we need to learn.
Sometimes I'm good about it. Not every time, but
same here,
I want to be good at it. That's the goal. Yeah. And so that's the goal that I want to also relay to you, is that we look at life as a challenge rather than getting back to the drama triangle and the self-sabotage steps. We can look at anything as a persecutor, whether it's like a test, a school or a job or a person, but look at it as a challenge instead of a persecutor. And that's the goal that we want to approach this with.
Yep. All right. So the last step that I want to focus on is, what do you do when you have a spiritual attack? And we added this one actually really recently because we've had so many requests to assist in this one that I just thought it might help to give you what I typically do, but this isn't the only thing that you can do. It's just, my go-tos. These are my original go-tos. Okay, so if you're working with us one-on-one, here's some of the things that we're going to do. First, get a baseline. Is your spirit in your body, and what percent? If you're under a spiritual attack, most likely your spirit is under attack. Okay, I know I keep on messing with the video or the picture. I'm sorry. Okay, how many pieces is your spirit in? Are there any rebellious spirits in your presence? Are there any mortal spirits in your presence? And has your spirit been taken against its will?
Yeah, we should also ask if there's any energetic wounds. So that's going to be
good too.
That's going to be an important question.
Yeah, except we're coming up with so many things we want to add. We may forget all the things that we said we wanted to add. So 2, start with a simple clearing. Remove rebellious spirits and seal up your portals, okay? Because you may have, there may be a whole lot of complex portals that you can't just do the easy portal sealing. So be aware of some of the different portals. And then let's start with the simple steps of healing the spirit. This isn't simple, but I'm calling it simple in comparison to the rest of the work you may need to do. Looks like our video's behind. Hope it's not skipping. It looks like it's kind of slow, messing up my speaking. Okay, so the healing of the spirit, there's a lot in here, okay? Just tons and tons and tons of amazing information of different possibilities and what to do. Okay, and then examples. So if you need it, remember it's here for you, okay? So for the most part, steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and, 1 through 6. There you go. Step 1 through 6 will probably do all that you need for most of you, okay? So step 4, are there any tools or weapons? So we got self-destructive tools, mind subconscious suggestions, beacons, intimidation energy. So check for those. These are pretty quick. These are quick removals. Well, quick enough. Step 5, do you have a manager that is managing your mind? And a lot of times that ends up being reoccurring. I don't have it happen too often unless I'm just really in a low place and I got attacked. So why do attacks happen? It's usually conflict, depression, some sort of trauma that happened, like you're being triggered due to an emotional memory. So being aware of why the attack happened is important, but the cleanup, this is what we're doing here, is the cleanup. So we may or may not put in there why did the attack happen? Go through some trauma steps, go through some conflict resolution steps. Those are just as important too. So that may end up getting added as well. But make sure that you remove that manager. That's going to assist you greatly. So in fact, in some of the coaching world, they talk about men having boxes and women having a ball of twine in their brain. But it's really more like a juggling act for the women, and the boxes are appropriate compartments for the men. But when you have a manager, they give you too many or too little. So they'll either take away your balls and your boxes, or they'll throw too many on your plate. And so we want to address that. Get rid of the manager and organize the order in your mind. Can you read that? 6.
Are there any mortal spirits in your body, and are parts of your spirit still missing? So, yeah, there's a lot that could go into that, but we do provide some examples in the healing of the spirit. And so one of the issues is going to be the control anchors. And so work through those control anchors, get spirit portions back into the proper spirit.
A lot of people ask us about that. They want to understand why. Why is there a mortal spirit in me, and why is my spirit somewhere else? Why'd that happen? What were they trying to cause me harm?
Control.
It's usually not. It's usually, it can be mild control to severe control. Like my ex-husband, severe control. My children, mild control. So if you have that, oh, my kids are having, or no, how about this? My child just went off to college or just went off on a mission. I wish I was there with them. Oh my goodness, I hope everything's okay. And I just, oh, it's so hard having them gone, right? I just wish I was there with them the whole time, taking care of them and doing their laundry and making them dinner and just loving them so that they know that they're not all alone, right? Because life is hard and you will definitely get knocked on your butt quite a few times. So your spirit respects your agency, and your spirit will depart a piece of your spirit to go be with your child. And that is what we're talking about with the mortal spirit within your body. And the problem is it knocks the pieces of their spirit out of their body. And what we want is we want what's best for them. We don't want to split up our spirit and be there. And just like, how would you feel if your mom was always like, oh, she should be with somebody else. She could do so much better. Her house is never clean enough. And then a piece of her spirit's inside of you and you're like, Mom, stop controlling me. So when you're on the victim side of it, it's frustrating. When you're on the loving motherly side of it, it's just love. So how can you correct that energy and reorganize it in the proper locations and get your spirit back? One
of our clients, she had like half of her body kind of not functioning well.
Yeah.
And so we discovered that
mom.
Her mom, half of her mom's spirit was in that portion of her body.
Yeah.
And so we assisted her mom in feeling a little bit more comfortable in leaving.
And doing the control anchors.
And so it was like within a few days or so, she's like, I just feel so much better.
So the manager.
Functioning back.
Right. You could have your mom as your manager and as a mortal spirit inside your body. So when we test mortal spirit, we really mean a mortal's spirit. Not disembodied, a true mortal. You are alive with a body of flesh. Yeah. And so those two tend to go hand in hand, the control anchors and the mortal and the manager.
Yeah, and I know that I think Melissa and I, each of our children at some point, they've, sought us out for help, and a portion of their spirit will come
that's a good point.
As well.
Just because they're needing help and assistance. That's a really good point. Thank you. It's not always control. It's also sometimes a matter of needing assistance. And we usually want to see if it's their dark spirit or their light spirit. You guys, if you can get so advanced with everything that you test and everything that you learn, always remember we're covering the basics, but you can absolutely really get so much more revelation to make this more. Like I said, if one of my kids happen to be here, it's like, okay, is it their light version or dark version? Are they needing help, or are they angry at me for something? Is it because I took away their Xbox, or is it just because they're upset because they're homesick, or maybe they're under spiritual attack while they're visiting dad and they're asking for assistance. So, okay, so control anchors and the manager. And then Merkaba number 2 can help also clear your space to get those mortal spirits out. If it's your child and you're going to help them, you don't need to do that. If it is your ex-husband or a neighbor or somebody else who you don't want them spying on you, whether they're doing it consciously or not. A lot of times it's not conscious. Like 90% of the time it's not conscious. But I've heard stories of people who are doing this intentionally, where they're doing spiritual travel intentionally to spy. And we do have that class on spiritual traveling we did last week. If you are curious of the right ways to do spiritual traveling, the godly ways. So removing those mortal spirits at your advanced shielding, we recommend Merkaba number 2. Okay. And then as your spirit in multiple pieces, we recommend the control energies. If your spirit's in multiple pieces, control energies is typically your solution to getting your spirit back in one piece. And then the healing of the spirit, but that's linked a couple more steps below.
I thought number 2 of the Merkaba was for Anti-God. I thought maybe...
I don't believe so.
Let's check that out. I think it's
sure.
1...
I think the Anti-God's 3.
3 and 4.
I think the Anti-God is 3.
But there are 3 shields for protection against spirits and mortals.
Oh, mortals is also number 4 too. 2 and 4, I believe. Okay, let's go ahead and look. So Merkaba number 1, when we say witchcraft, it's really just all of the evil that's going on in the world around you. It doesn't mean they necessarily did it to you. Natural man, shield of wisdom, mortal spirits, so 2. And then Merkaba number 3 is... are we in the Merkaba number 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so Merkaba number 3 was the Anti-God.
Yeah.
And then Merkaba number
4.
4 is also a mortal spirit, isn't it?
So
Yeah.
you could use 1 as
2
well.
and 4.
1, 2, and 4.
Yeah. Sorry about that. 1, 2, and 4. Okay. Okay, let's see. Control energies. Oh, that's right. We went up a little bit, didn't we? I'm like, wait, why did we start talking about that? Where were we?
Well, 6 is with the spirits of the
okay,
world,
the advanced shields. Okay, so we're number 7. So if you're still under attack, this is not for the faint of heart, okay? It's right here. Not for the faint of heart. These are advanced spirits and very difficult to remove. You may need assistance if you come to this point and you still need more work, okay? If you're still under attack, your spirit's still in a mess, like, okay, advanced spirit removal. This is harder. This is a very difficult concept. A lot of these are difficult concepts. These might be scary. We recommend making an appointment. If you're ready, go for it. If you feel as though you're ready, please do. We want you to have those tools. And then B, protect yourself with the appropriate shielding. And once again, it's the same thing. It's the advanced shields link. And there's more shielding in the advanced section, but these are the ones that we recommend that you can do without doing a removal. Like if you remove a specific step like the dark laws or some of the others, they come with more shielding. Because basically, you're you're ticking off the adversary, I guess, by removing some of these darker forces and protecting yourself and making his life, I guess, I'm just going to shut up because I have a lot that I could say and I really want to be vague, and I'm being so vague that I'm just rambling. So I'm just not going to say anything at all. So advanced spirits and advanced shielding, those are definitely there as a link. And then, do you have a spiritual trauma? There's a possibility that the reason why you're still struggling is, so if you come to this and you don't need these steps in the advanced spirit section, but you do need to do spiritual trauma, that's important. Okay, so you might just have a spiritual trauma that is the attack. And what this is it's a departed spirit that is traumatizing you. Okay, and so the steps are linked here. And then 9, is your spirit still missing? If you need a spirit retrieval, you're going to need to contact us for further assistance. I do a lot of spirit work where I do. That's what I do the spiritual traveling for. When I learned this a few years ago, I learned the basic steps that are offered in our spiritual traveling class. However, I've taken it so that I only use it when I'm working, and I only use it for purposes like this. So I do a lot of spirit retrievals. That is, I get many calls a week asking for help because their spirit is gone and nothing that they've ever done or nothing that's in the program is enough. There's more that needs to be done, and I actually need to go do a spirit retrieval. And I would love to say that is something that is simple, but I recommend learning spiritual traveling and learning some of the deeper mysteries and learning all of the basics of these bigger, scarier spirits, so that when you go and you do the rescue, you know some of the steps. Like, we've had to do a rescue from the demonic realm. We've had to do rescues from a bottomless pit. We've had to do rescues from outside the universe. We've had to do rescues the people that were participating in something big, like a Zion vortex. So there's a lot of really advanced things that we have done that we don't even share in the program, because it's not a step-by-step thing that you can just do on your own. It's something that we usually have to troubleshoot as we go. And it's different every single time, just like life. So if that is the case, I don't know what else to do. I will do spirit retrievals interactive, where we can do it together. And the more that you get familiar with how we do spirit retrievals, the more the people that have done them with me are doing them on their own. For instance, I was telling you earlier that Amy and I tend to share energy. Whatever happens to her happens to me. Whatever happens to me happens to her, because I'm teaching her. I'm teaching her how to do these spirit retrievals, and we're doing it one-on-one. And it's been a really intense couple of months, but but she's been given many opportunities where she's just had a lot of attacks, and that is her practice. When you have a lot of attacks, it's Heavenly Father giving you that practice to learn the spirit retrievals. And And so as we're doing these together one-on-one, she's learning how to do a lot of these on her own. And so she'll report to me like, guess what I did this time? Guess what happened now? And guess what we did? And so it takes a little bit more one-on-one training, I think, to do that, because we have to troubleshoot together. So, okay, no, Amy Helen, she's just one of the ones that was on the video with everybody else, that's all. So step 10, do you have a corrupted shield? This one, I don't have a whole lot written on this one. What I typically do with a corrupted shield is I look for the reason why, and I troubleshoot the why. But we've had a few people asking about more work on corrupted shields. So it could be a corrupted energy. It could be a mortal spirit that is in your presence, but you just remove the mortal spirit. So your corrupted shield could start breaking away. So finding out the cause, right here I said if it's due to a mortal spirit, since you're to remove them, you can just crack that corrupted shield and remove it. Like use your intuition how to remove it. But if it is due to your spouse or somebody else who's residing in the home who does not want your energy to depart, we've had this happen many times where they do the energy release and they feel worse. And it's usually due to a corrupted shield because their spouse does not want them participating in energy work. So that's hard. This is hard. So the closest thing that I've got right now as just a temporary, we don't want to bypass their agency because we can't. And they're the ones choosing the corrupted shield, so what do we do? So as of right now, here's an idea. You can ask for a guardian orb and place all of the energy that you've released that day into a guardian orb, and then use the sword of steel to crack open the corrupted shield to allow the orb to depart, and then to continue respecting the agency of your spouse. Like don't be angry at your spouse for it. It's just due to a lack of understanding or fear. So be patient in that regard. And then if anything else comes to you and you learn any more on the corrupted shields, give me a holler. I would love to learn more too. Step 11 is your spirit back in your body and in one piece. And then this is just go back to the healing of the spirit steps. Okay, so let's say you go through, you don't need to do the demon or anti-God stuff. You don't need to do spiritual trauma. You don't need to do the corrupted shield. Your spirit's back in your body, but it's not happy, right? We should probably ask that, is your spirit happy? We ask that a lot. Is my spirit happy? And the answer is no. So go through the healing of the spirit steps, okay? And that's in your preparatory steps. Okay, so that is everything that we have right now, but a lot of this was added yesterday and today. So we might be coming up with quite a few more. I'm trying to use questions we get a lot. So if we get certain questions a lot, you may end up seeing more pop up in here in such a, in a similar way with some. But I think that what we've done is there's a lot of good links in there, a lot of good links. But I can think of a couple more things that we could do. Like they were kind of saying with like the atmospheric energy, making that a simple go-to in the miraculous opportunities, and maybe including that in the are you sick and tired? Do you need the atmospheric energy? Usually I don't use the atmospheric energy when I have a flu or a cold though. It's usually bigger issues. So maybe are you sick and tired? Do you have a chronic illness? I might throw that in there. Do you have a chronic incurable illness? And then those are the ones we're going to use the bigger things for, the atmospheric. Like it's going to look a bit more like the excess dense tissue one, where we have the light healing and the atmospheric energy healing and some of the other bigger steps that we do for chronic illnesses. So we'll probably have a link in here soon for do you have a chronic illness? Because sick and tired is different than chronic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more like I have a cold. Can you show them what we did in the training videos? Unless you have something else to say.
I just want to make a comment about the coloring here. Like our color options are kind of limited. Yeah. I tried to make these links bright yellow one time, and it was a nightmare to do. I got some of them, but it's not an easy process. So.
We're just not computer techies, and we don't have the expensive program. So we have to settle.
Well, some of it is due to the app. And the app just didn't have a very good way to do it. It can do it, but it's very complicated.
Yeah.
And so anyway.
All right. So for all of you who have stuck around, remember everything is in the program link right here. Okay. All of this stuff is going to be. like your videos and the Find a Practitioner and donations and shop, those are fantastic because, you know, we have our books in our shop. And under donations, like, I mean, I don't want to be forceful or anything, but we do always love the opportunity to have donations because we want to dedicate more time to finishing documents and compiling the third manual and getting the program really, really thorough and complete. And since this is our only income source, we do a lot of sessions to try and make up for it. So the more donations we get in, the more that we can do. And so obviously we love working with those that are sick and unable to work. And so sometimes donations are very small. And so if you're able to make a larger donation, please do. So just follow the spirit. Just follow the spirit on that. And as you know, in the shop, we have all of our books that are available. And in fact, our self-publisher has raised their prices, but I think we'll be okay. I don't think that that's going to affect our prices here.
Yeah, I think it's just in Europe is where the price went up.
You sure?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so when you're in the program link, oh, and the Find a Practitioner. A few of you I can think of off the top of my head, I think you should have your name in the Find a Practitioner. So I know we keep on kind of going back to the program. And we only have a few of you guys that have your pictures up here and your ads up here. But I know a lot more of you guys who are ready. Now, I don't know how busy they stay. I don't know how many referrals they actually get. But I know a lot of you guys who are already incorporating some of this, and I would love to just add your name. So all you need to do is contact us. It does not cost anything. Just put together a little ad. Send me a picture. Send me a little bit of information that you would like to kind of put on here, contact information, and I'll add you. And I would love to have more people listed on there. I think that would be a really beautiful opportunity. And like I was saying, in the videos link here, we have our 5-part marriage series. Single or married, you can either watch all of them or pick and choose your favorites. We call it a 5-part, like, so that you can just do one a day. It can be exhausting to watch too many in one day. Okay, this is the change I want to show you. We've been making a lot of changes. We've had a lot of people messaging us like, oh my goodness, so many changes. Yes, lots of changes. And in fact, like the advanced section is now a grid as well if you are in the advanced section. And that is very different than it was just very recently, along with the advanced training videos. So here we go. Training link on the top left. For all of you who are not aware, I have changed this up as well. I have tried to simplify this as best as possible. Videos. Click on the videos. All of these links are important, okay? But click on the videos. These are the first 2 we recommend. And if we're working on updating our initial consult and our appointment forms, we will be linking that information here as well when we update it, because I love what Anna has done. Here's what we've done. Look, it does not show all of the weekly replays because they're all now organized. So we got muscle testing training videos, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Intermediate will have most of our training videos. But as you saw, a lot of our links have a training video in the link as well. So there are multiple places where you might see the same link or the same video, right? So in the beginner, we have some beginner basics, right? Basics of energy work, back to the basics, how to beginner questions, seeking inspiration, introduction to spirits, consult forms, compiling your own to-do list, tapping for yourself. Do the ones that you feel inspired to do. All of them have something different. All of them are teaching you something different. So pick and choose what you feel inspired to do. The muscle testing, just tons are in there. We aren't doing any more live muscle testing classes because we've covered them all already. So if you struggle with muscle testing, go through the muscle testing training videos. Intermediate has the most. Okay, this is going to be the majority of the training videos. We've got our pathogens, toxins, and compounds, energies, spiritual influences, emotional healing, and live sessions. So we've tried to organize them into these categories. So let's say that you really don't understand the energies. You're like, I don't know how to do the energy releases. Go here, and which one don't you understand? go ahead and go through and see what you need to learn, okay? So there are multiple in here. So go through, and whatever you have a question on, go ahead and start watching that training video. It seems overwhelming because it's like a year and a half's worth of training videos. So just take it a day at a time, okay? It's not going to be something you're going to learn overnight. A lot of people want this to be really fast and easy where they can just have a quick, easy grid, but everything takes time. So be patient with yourself. You'll get it. There's just so much good information. So same with spiritual influences, and all of them are going to look similar where they all have these links. So if you click on this, this is going to take you to our YouTube. They're all unlisted. So these are not videos that anybody outside of our training class can see. That'll take me a little while because I'm running Zoom. So yeah, I should have known better. Don't try and open up YouTube while running Zoom. So anyhow, all these pictures are linked. So click on the pictures. And then that takes us to our advanced training videos.
Which we may end up removing from there and just leaving that
in the advanced section.
Place.
And the reason for that, you guys, is sometimes people run faster than they have strength. A lot of times you have an advanced problem, and so you want to learn advanced.
Right. I know it. You're a logical, sound-minded person. They are not.
So it's just, it tends to be overwhelming. And so when you run a little too fast, it overwhelms you. We've had some people drop out of the program because it's too fast. It's too much. And that's okay. Like we want to offer you love, and we want to offer you support where you are so that you don't go too quickly, but that you still have the support you need, which is why we wanted to link some of the important advanced things, but not so much it's going to cause you to like fall on your face and be like, okay, too much, too heavy, and that's where you can always reach out to us for help too, is if you have something that is just too heavy. Okay. Okay, yeah, whether or not we have that there or if we only have it in the advanced section, I don't know. We're going to pray about that. I'm not completely sure what is best. I just recommend not to run faster than you have strength and pace yourself. But in the advanced section, I also have the exact same link. So if you are in the advanced section, it's the exact same link that we were just looking at. Same videos, same everything, okay? It just links you to the same page. And in fact, the video that we're talking about right now will probably go in our specific treatments, just to kind of talk about what we got going on in there.
Very likely.
And as you know, we have the unfinished material that we're still working on that we have available. It's definitely not, if it's there, it's not 100% complete, but it's complete enough that you can do some steps in it. We have a lot more material that's more than just unfinished. And then the Spirit Code Manual, we're adding more to that every day. This is just Manual 3, okay? So all the other manuals are found in the shop, and we highly recommend having paperback. Like, I can't recommend that more, not because I want to make a sale, but because we just can't depend on technology forever. And so I just recommend having paperback. So this one is just us showing you what we're working on. All the different sections that are in the process, and with everything that we're adding right now, there's probably going to be a lot more being added to this particular document soon, because we're kind of like finishing up a bunch of stuff all at the same time. So we're going from kind of slow to a huge chunk being added all at the same time. That's why there's so many changes. Okay, Paul, do you have anything else that you would like to add for our class today?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I know we've gone over 2 hours, and we usually don't want to overwhelm you guys that much, but there's so much good, valuable information to go over. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap up the recording, but anybody who has any more private questions that they would like to stay on the line, we always like to stay on just a little bit longer to answer those private questions that somebody may have. So if you're watching this as a training video in the future, the perks of watching live is that you can get some some more one-on-one guidance after the recording is over. So we love you.
All right. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.